It's February and I still have frozen tomatoes. Welcome to Planting Joy Garden. If you're like me and you had a great harvest of cherry tomatoes, and so I have bag after bag of frozen cherry tomatoes, and today we're going to do something about it. So this is what we're going to need today to dehydrate our tomatoes into tomato powder. You're going to start off by slightly defrosting some of those frozen tomatoes. You're going to need a dehydrator, and this is a small unit because I'm doing a small batch. You need a blender or grinder, so I have a spare spice grinder. It's also referred to as a coffee grinder. You're going to need parchment paper to line your trays, and that allows for easy cleanup because no one wants extra work. That's part of the reason why we kind of put off processing these tomatoes, because didn't want any extra work. So parchment paper, it catches the seeds, it catches the jelly, so nothing is wasted. Everything will be dried and easy to clean up. And when I say parchment paper, we're not talking wax paper, we're talking parchment paper. So make sure you have the right thing. And this is optional. I like to use this Italian sea salt just to speed the process along. You're also going to need the directions from your units. My unit has a selected temperature and time for processing tomatoes. Now, one advantage to using frozen tomatoes is that extra moisture was frozen. And once I cut into them, it'll release this moisture very quickly in the drying process. So it helps to speed up the drying process. And also because this is small fruit, so it will dry quickly. Frozen tomatoes are easy to cut. You don't have to worry about the seeds and the jelly running away. Everything stays intact and it allows you to use more of your tomatoes. Okay, now that I have my tomatoes all sliced up, and you'll notice as the tomatoes defrost, they get messy. So it's best to do it when it's slightly frozen. You don't lose any juice, you don't lose any seeds. Everything will be preserved and used for making the tomato powder. Now I'm going to load my trays. And generally the rules on tomatoes is you turn them face down. And I'm turning mine face up for a reason. And I'll show you in just a moment. I cut the parchment paper a little short because I want to make sure that there's airflow all around the tray. And so I don't let the paper cover completely. So I'll bring you back after I have my trays loaded. Okay, now that I have everything loaded on the trays, and this is the part that is optional, I'm going to add my Italian sea salt. And the reason I use this brand is once I powder the tomatoes will not clump. Oftentimes table salt, you'll notice in the containers, it will clump. So that's why I'm using this. And so all I'm going to do is sprinkle this salt on, and this is a coarse salt. So I can actually knock this salt off if I want to, but I don't mind having a little hint of salt in my tomato powder, and that's totally optional. You don't have to have salt in your tomato powder. And so now I'm going to load the trays into my dehydrator there. And now we're going to load the trays inside. And my dehydrator is a 4-tray, and this is a very small unit. And the reason I like this is a tabletop or countertop unit. It's perfect for small jobs or doing small jars of herbs. You don't feel bad running a small unit. It's easy to get 4 trays of something out of the garden. So this is perfect for small jobs. I'm going to follow the recommendations on my manual, and I'm going to set this for, okay, we're going to set it for 140 degrees. for 4 hours. I start with four hours. I can always go up to 6 if necessary, but I am using cherry tomato. So I'll bring you back in about 4 hours to test it and to see if we can go on to the next step. And while my tomatoes are dehydrating, I'm going to clean out my grinder and I'm going to sterilize my jar and lid to get them ready to receive my powdered tomatoes. After 4 hours, the tomatoes were tacky to touch, so I removed the parchment paper and I'm going to give it an additional 2 hours. Okay, 8 hours have passed and the pieces snap. We're going to let them cool a little bit and then I will be putting them in the grinder. So after 8 hours of dehydrating, it's very brittle. There may be some parts that are leathery, but you want to make sure that it's actually dry. And so I will transfer a quart-sized bag of cherry tomatoes. And what's nice about this is I was able to process it. So I'm able to use my tomato powder to make tomato paste when I need it. So I would take 1 tablespoon or 1 teaspoon of tomato powder and add 1 teaspoon or a tablespoon of water and make tomato paste. And from the paste, I can make whatever I desire. So I have compressed 2 quarts of frozen cherry tomatoes into this 1 small jar of shelf-stable tomato powder. Now, the job will continue, but if anything has been helpful today, please hit the like button, subscribe, and come back and see me next week. Have an amazing day.